Hi, this is Jason with wakemakers.com, and this is part 2 of our How to Install a Ballast System series. This segment is going to cover the installation of through-hole intake and drain fittings, everything that you need to know about that process, how to do it safely, and end up with a secure watertight connection. We recognize that this is very intimidating for most of our customers, the thought of drilling a hole in the bottom of their perfectly good boat. But the purpose of this video is to show you that the actual process of creating that hole and installing the through-hole hardware is very straightforward. Anybody that's comfortable using a drill will have no problem at all completing the steps that are required, and you'll end up with a great installation. So take a look.
All right, so here we are inside the boat in the bilge compartment, and we're going to go through actually placing through-hole fittings and what's involved with that, what you need to be looking out for. So first thing that we want to talk about is just interference and clearance issues. Obviously, we need to place the fitting somewhere where there's physically room for it to sit, to assemble our components on top of it. In most cases, well, in every case, you should have a ball valve assembled on top, and then depending on what type of pump system you're using, you may have a pump attached to that, or just in the case of this factory system, a hose that runs off and goes into the flexible vane impeller pump. So that's pretty obvious, you need to have room to fit it. The other things that we want to be looking out for are existing systems that are in the boat, things like raw water intakes for the engine, or in the case of this boat, and most boats, most modern boats, we've got a perfect pass paddle wheel that you can see right down here, and right there. We don't want to install any fittings in front of that, because that's going to disrupt the flow of water traveling over the paddle wheel, which will lead to an inaccurate speed reading, and the speed control won't work anymore. So putting something directly in front of that fitting right here, something like that, that's something that we want to avoid. Same goes for depth finder transducers, like I said, the raw water intake for the engine. So just use prudence there, and make sure that you're not putting it somewhere where it's going to interfere. Other than that, the only other thing to be aware of is things like the trailer bunks. Usually it's not a problem because people are doing these installs on the boat, or with the boat on the trailer, but we wouldn't want to install that fitting somewhere where it's going to interfere with the trailer bunk. So now that we've got the location determined for this first through hole, which is going to be right here, what we'll do is we'll just move the through hole off to the side a little bit, drop a magnet in place, reset the through hole, and make sure it's centered on this flat component in the right spot. Alright, so now we've located on the inside. Let's go down underneath the boat, and we'll mark the location on the exterior and make sure that there's no interference issues there, and then go ahead and actually drill the hole for the fitting. Alright, so here we are now underneath the boat, and you can see what we've done here is we've masked off the section of the hole where we anticipated the through holes being, just using references and landmarks. And what we've got here is the magnet that we put on the inside is attracting this one we've got here on the outside. So we've determined that's the same location, inside outside. Plenty of clearance for the through hole intake to fit flush on this surface here without any rocking or wobbling. So we'll just go ahead and mark this location around the magnet, and then we can remove the magnet, and we've got a perfect target that we're going to drill through here. So we're going to go ahead and locate the center of our hole, and that's why we tape up the whole area, so if the bit slips like that, it's not a problem. So I've got the drilling forward right now, and I'm just going to go ahead and drill with the pilot bit through the gel coat and the fiberglass. Okay, and now I'm going to check to make sure that I'm perpendicular to the surface of the hole on all sides, and go ahead and just work through with the pilot bit. Alright, so now I'm at the surface of the hole. I'm going to switch the drill to reverse and go ahead and wear through the gel coat layer just by running the drill in reverse. And now I'm through the gel coat. You'll be able to tell that the consistency and color of the powder coming off the bit changes. Typically it's about 2 millimeters thick for most manufacturers. So now that we're through the actual gel coat, switch the drill back to forward and go ahead and drill all the way through the fiberglass. All right, so there we go. Got the hole through the fiberglass. As you can maybe see there, I'll pull this plug out in a second, we can look at it. The hole is about a 1/2 inch thick in this location. That will vary depending on the manufacturer and also where you're drilling in the boat. Some areas are reinforced more depending on the types of loads that they're submitted to, just a normal operation, but you know, reasonably you can expect it to be a 1/2 inch or something in that neighborhood for where you're drilling the through hole in the bottom of the boat. Alright, so now that we've got the holes drilled, cleaned them up a little bit, but really haven't done anything. Next step is to put a chamfer on the exterior, the perimeter of the hole on the outside. Basically that's just a bevel that we're going to run all the way around the perimeter of the hole. What that's going to do is it's going to relieve the edge, so instead of having a 90-degree corner, we're going to have a 45-degree corner, and it's going to pull the gel coat back away from the hole a little bit so that when the fitting is sitting in the hole, it's not actually pushing on the gel coat at all. Like I said earlier, gel coat's actually fairly brittle, and although these fixtures don't put a lot of stress on the hole or the gel coat, you know, like a tower or a swim platform bracket would, it still is a good idea to go ahead and chamfer it so that the fitting isn't in direct contact with the gel coat, because that can lead to spider cracks radiating out away from the hole. So what we've got here is just a grinding bit loaded into our drill, and we're just going to go ahead and work around the perimeter, holding the bit at a 45-degree angle to the hole to put that bevel on it. Alright, so we've chamfered this hole. So now we're going to prep this through hole for installation in the boat, and you always want to use a marine specific adhesive designed for use below the waterline, and we recommend and offer the 4000 series product line from 3M, which is semi-permanent. It's removable, so if you had to get it out you could, but it's also a very high strength durable product. So this is our recommendation. All of our through holes that we offer have a groove machined into the flange. So this is where the hole will sit against the fitting. It'll sit flush, and this groove is designed to receive a bead of adhesive so that when the through hole is installed in place and then secured with the nut on the inside of the bilge compartment, you get good contact all the way around 360 degrees. And that's all you need. You don't have to apply any sealant onto the threads or anything. If you have a continuous bead all the way around this flange, then that completely seals the penetration through the hole. So all you're looking for is a bead that's of adhesive that's the size of that groove. You don't have to completely cover the surface. If you do, when you tighten it, you're going to have adhesive everywhere. It's going to be a mess. So all you want is just a nice solid bead all the way around, 360 degrees around this flange in that groove that's set up to receive it, and at that point you're ready to go ahead and insert the fitting and get it installed and tightened down and ready to move on to the rest of the system. Now we've got the through hole installed from the bottom side, and we're going to go ahead and put the lock nut on and tighten that down. I like to run just a little bit of adhesive around the inside. Application here is not ultra critical like it was on the outside. It's not imperative that we get a continuous bead, but and this is really not strictly speaking necessary, but I find that it helps seat that lock nut a little bit just to have the adhesive to hold it down in place until it dries. So not being real careful about installation, just gonna put some around the perimeter there, and then we'll go ahead and thread our lock nut on. Just being a little bit gentle, we don't want to disrupt the fitting. It's the adhesive that's seated on the exterior of the hole. Snug this down here. So you can see as it tightens down, you get a bead of adhesive around the perimeter. And we'll just snug that up by hand, and then grab a crescent wrench and throw it on that nut and tighten it down, and that'll complete the installation of the through hole.
So that wraps up the Thru-hull hardware installation. Hopefully that helped answer any questions that you have and showed you that it's not really a difficult process at the end of the day, and it's pretty straightforward. If you have any questions about planning out a ballast system, any Thru-hull hardware related questions, feel free to get in touch with us. Our toll-free number is 888-338-6085, or you can always send an email to sales@wakemakers.com. And stay tuned for the future segments in this series that will show you the rest of ballast system installation.